welcome everybody. Thank you for being here in person, for travel. Thank you very much for traveling. Who is in remote? Thank you very much for connecting today. So I believe that we will start with a round of introductions. So you get all to know each other. Actually, some of us already met in the first workshop. We were at the hands in the European Pavilion, and then we, in that occasion, have a little workshop between the other European projects, and the discussion was very, very good. We were very collaborative, so we decided to continue with this second workshop. But we have also some new people, so I think it would be good to do an introduction. So I will start. My name is Dr. Diana Farrow. I'm a research officer at the University Hospital. I work on artificial intelligence implementation of point of care. And with me today, there is also my boss, Albert Clausen.
Good morning. I'm a pediatrician, actually, and I'm heading this research unit called Preventive and Predictive Medicine, which is mainly involved in research projects based on artificial intelligence, but also on prevention, as you can expect. We're dealing with projects, however, reaching the interest of researchers and the interest of clinicians, which is trying to bring to the bedside the things that are usually the clouds. That's our job. So cybersecurity is one of the very novel topics that we face with CYLCOMED, and I expect that this meeting will be fruitful also for confronting ourselves with the challenges you have daily in your institutions, but also to predict what will happen in the future, because actually cybersecurity is a hot topic right now. I expect that also several research opportunities will come out very soon. Thinking that we are a very complex hospital. We are a big one. We have almost 700 beds, more or less, specialties, people coming from everywhere. So I think that this will be one of the topics that will be growing in the future. So happy to stay with you for a while. We'll be jumping in and out because we have technical stuff going on in the other room, but thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Daniel Pietrobon. I work with Albert and Ljubljana in Rome at the Bambino Children's Hospital, but I'm a clinical engineer and I work as a demand manager in the IT department.
Hello, my name is Istok. I come from Ljubljana in Portugal. I'm a medical doctor. I work in everyday work as a dermatologist, but I'm also active as a representative of medical association of medical doctors in Slovenia, where we are very active to somehow bring this digital health into practical life. So we want to address practical considerations that arise from our perspective. So if we include it, since we think that you cannot have good digital health and even security without the inclusion of those healthcare practitioners. And that's why we are very active in governance of those processes. So this is something that we see as one of the most important parts, so that we have this in practice working. And I'm also chairing the national governance body for e-health, for standardization and such stuff. But this time, thank you for inviting me. I'm representing a SHARE project, which has a dedicated role to bring knowledge to Europeans, to different steps, different stakeholders, to bring knowledge about digital health and also among other security. And that's why I'm here. I hope I will be able to help.
Hello, my name is Magdalena. I'm coming from the Ministry of Health of Poland. We came across consortium during our presidency, which finished in June. Cybersecurity of medical devices was the topic, one of the main topics for our ministry during presidency.
Recording in progress.
Great. And we managed to convince other member states. Some of them really needed to be convinced. That the topic is urgent. We need somehow align what's in the Cyber Resilience Act and NDR in regards to cybersecurity. And we create a task force under MDCG, so Medical Devices Coordination Group. It's a group working under the European Commission, which gave itself a very strict timeline. We should finish the report till December. It was our goal to finish before so-called targeted evaluation of European Commission, because European Commission is doing targeted evaluation and on NDR. And it was supposed to finish the targeted evaluation in December. In the meantime, we were given information that they want to wait for us, and they will do the targeted evaluation before we do our report in December. So we then, now in the moment that if it really happens this way, will be the cybersecurity won't be included in this targeted evaluation. It will be left to the work on the level of European Council, so working party on pharmaceutical and medical devices, which is very political level, and much harder to get the member states on the side, because it's then move to politics, but it's another topic. Now we are concentrating on delivering our report. In December, we have formulated 5 working topics. We are working from the legal and from the technical side on each of the that's all for me. Thank you very much, and I have been here today with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Simone Fabrin. I'm from Media Clinics, which is an Italian SME, which is a medical device manufacturer. We are a house software company, and we are mostly interested in electronic health records for ICU, and that's our main product, and our main focus, and we have certification under IMDR and under ISO 13485. And mine here as work package 6 leader, which is the work package of integration under the CYLCOMED project, which is the part in which we try to bring the tools that are developed under CYLCOMED project inside of pilots and in real scenarios, understanding the difficulties that the World Consortium face, because CYLCOMED Consortium is a multi-phase consortium having technical providers, which are the technical end of the spectrum, and we also have hospitals, and we are integrators in the middle as NSMEs, as manufacturers. That's our interest as an SME is to understand where the legislation is going, what regulation are going to be to happen, and which are the difficulties in bringing new technologies inside of the hospital, which is the main topic that we face in CYLCOMED, and it brings a lot of complexity on the thing.
Hello everyone, I'm Jada and I'm here on behalf of CYLCOMED, Work Package 7, Communication and Distribution. So we listen to your talks. I will prepare a nice article with the conclusions of today's meeting. I will also do social media animation and really try to put everything together. Yes, that's it.
So I am Evangelos Mascaros. I'm a professor of computer science at Wharton University of Crete. My background is cybersecurity and privacy. And currently I am a beneficiary in the projects GIA together and XLAB. And in my presentation later, I'll give you more details about those 2 projects.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm coming from the TU Dresden, the Technical University of Germany. Also affiliated with an Institute for Digital Healthcare that's closely linked to the local university hospital there. We are the coordinator of the other rising projects, Sanetsec, and we're here to also then, in that case, combining very medical and computer science expertise. And I'm one of the people with the engineering background. Other colleagues in our institute are a very good spread between doctors, regulators, so on and so forth.
Hi, Karen from Center, which is a Norwegian Research Institute. We are coordinating the Nemesis project, which is a sibling project to both CYLCOMED and the Cybersec, funded under the same core. We have similar objectives as well. As this project, we want to enhance cybersecurity of connected medical devices by supporting manufacturers, integrators, and operators to meet regulatory and operational cybersecurity needs. Thank you for the invitation to this workshop. It's very nice to meet you in person.
Hi everyone, I'm Bushko. I come from University KU Leuven in Belgium, and I work as a PhD researcher on topics of cybersecurity, privacy, data protection as a legal scholar. So basically, we act in consortium as legal and ethical partner, assessing legal interoperability challenges that arise from development of novel technologies. So basically, that's it from my side.
So we will align them. I will see Dino Matti. Sorry, your name is Matthias?
Matthias Neumann.
Yeah, Matthias Neumann, yeah. Hello, Matthias Neumann. I'm from the German Federal Ministry of Health. I'm an expert on medical devices regulation, and I'm here to listen first a little bit on what are the real problems related to cybersecurity and medical devices, etc. And this should really feed a little bit into our revision of the medical device regulation with respect to how to increase and ensure cybersecurity for medical devices. However, for us, it is clear that cybersecurity cannot be established only on the device side. It must be established even by operators of devices and even hospitals, etc. So we have to find a balance and not start into a kind of debate between who is responsible for what. Here we need an holistic approach at the end.
I will butcher your name. I'm so sorry. That's the Italian in me. Ekmeyer Ralph. Next.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Ralf Ekmer. You didn't botch anything. It's perfectly pronounced. I'm with the Austrian Ministry of Health, and my task there is to coordinate cybersecurity topics within the health sector. So I'm part of these coordination groups. I'm also active in standardization, and I'm also part of the current task forces who address connected medical devices. My background is information security, not so much health, but I had clients that were hospitals in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Santiago.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I work at Hospital Niño Jesús in Madrid, and my background is connecting medical devices in different hospitals and I work with many different brands of medical devices, and I'm working in the CYLCOMED project with Andres, that is our technical leader.
Hi, Erica.
Yes, hello. So my name is Erika Schuttfort, very German name, but I'm a Swedish lady. I am here because of recommendation from Professor Stephen Gilbert. That's how I sort of came across this. And my general interest is to understand, because I work within the medical device industry in the crossing field between innovation and compliance, and understanding how the sort of the digital nature and the regulations are evolving is obviously of high importance. So I'm very keen to listen in and learn more from these experts.
Right. Matei Kokajani?
Hi, my name is Matei Kokal. Currently I'm can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Currently I'm the head of National Sports Medicine Center in Slovenia. But I have also, besides being a doctor, for 20 years I worked in as a systems administrator and IT health security. That's why I turned my medical chambers volunteered me to become a representative in the national healthcare digitalization strategy group. So I'm actually in the same group that Istok is, who presented himself before that. So currently I'm actually a member of the strategic council for healthcare digitalization in Slovenia, and also part of the Istok's group for healthcare standards and IT security.
Thank you so much. Then we have Mariana from Heston.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mariana and I represent HIMSS today. So probably many of you know that we had this year initiative around European projects at HIMSS 25 in Paris. So CYLCOMED was one of 4 cybersecurity projects within Pavilion and also workshop. And I think probably, Diana, you can say a few words about our initiative, but we collected more than 160 advices from the advisory board, which included ministries of health, European Commission, OECD, hospitals, patient organization, and healthcare companies. So I think that was really helpful and valuable for all the projects presented at this initiative. And I hope that CYLCOMED was also happy with the results. Thank you so much.
Did I call everybody? Did I miss somebody?
Yes, can you hear me, Diana?
Yes, I can hear you, Ricardo.
Yes, this is Ricardo Ruiz from RGB.
Everything was okay? Everything's okay?
Yes, thank you. I just arrived. I'm sorry to be late. I had a medical meeting today.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, doctor. Okay, I represent here the RGB, which is a coordinator of Pilot 1 in CYLCOMED, and RGB is a manufacturer of medical devices, and we have the point of view of the cybersecurity issues related to manufacturing medical devices. As you can imagine, we are essentially not experts in cybersecurity, but we are experts on regulations related to medical devices. And this has been a great opportunity to learn about applicable standards. And I think we ended up with very good conclusions during this project. So I will be happy to share them with you.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you.
So the way how we prepared is very easy actually. So some of you come with slides and they would like to present. So the first slot will be for doing that. So we're gonna go in order of who asked to go first. So we try to preserve that order, and then we have a coffee break. We're gonna meet some of the people in the consortium. We're gonna come back here, and then we're gonna use some of the data that we collected at the end. Actually, the HIMSS collected for us to have a discussion and brainstorming. So we will have a digital board that we will put up, so we can also write and collect some idea there. But basically, we want this to be really a, horizontal table which we can discuss, and everybody can bring their own competence skills. So we'll just go very quickly showing the project of CYLCOMED. I know that some of you already saw the project, but just a reminder for who didn't saw. Just 1 second. Presentation. This computer is not English, so I will try. Okay, so let's do it like that, probably the easy way. Let me know if you all can see it. Seems good. Online? Somebody can give me a thumbs up? Yeah, okay. So the project's overall goal is providing a cybersecurity toolbox for connected medical device. And we are a very multidisciplinary consortium. As Alberto and my colleagues mentioned before, we have hospitals together with companies and producers, we have some specialists for legal and ethics, and we all work together in these months to do mostly three things: assess, protect, and deliver. So we did a big, huge assessment and Tudusco of the current cybersecurity landscape of common medical devices. We did also a very great job again, Lusco, for legal and regulatory requirements. And so we come up with base standards and base practices and guidelines. I want to really put the attention here. So we are hospitals and we have real patients in our pilots. Meaning that for us, we have to go through an ethical committee to get the pilot in the clinic. Meaning that we have real devices, real people, and real platforms in our projects. And that for us was the first big challenge because the AI Act came in and some of our tools are AI driven. So we had worked a lot with the regulation part. Then we want to, of course, protect our patients' confidentiality, integrity, availability of private data, safety, and health. As I say, real patients, real concerns, everything that we did in our project was to safeguard them. So it's a very patient-centric approach, family-centric approach. Then we want to deliver. We deliver a risk assessment framework, and in the other room, actually, there is the partner that did that. I know that some of the projects are actually going toward this assessment risk framework, so we can share lessons learned and we can compare the tools. We did a toolbox that we are currently finishing off, and we did some methodologies that we can share. These are quickly our objectives. As I say, our project is at the hand, and it's a great opportunity for some of you that maybe are starting or in the mid part to have some guidance from what we did. And this we see the legal and ethical framework. Perhaps Dusko wanted to say a couple of words on this part.
Yes, maybe I can jump in. CYLCOMED project is kind of complex because wide variety of the stakeholders. So as you mentioned, we have hospitals, we have patients included, healthcare professionals, software developers. There is a wide variety of legal acts that are applicable to project overall. So starting from the toolbox and the Cyber Resilience Act, we have pilots that are with the medical devices, so medical device regulation, IVDR. So it was kind of challenging to map all regulatory frameworks and when analyzing them, assess legal interoperability among them, because some provisions are either at a high level, how to implement them in the real world setting. Some of them are overlapping or challenging, like notification obligation, and so on. I don't want to take so much time for that, but also, as you mentioned, involvement for patients, children requires and sets bar really high when it comes to ethical requirement. And then there is in the EU and at the world scene, there is a lot of ethical requirements which are kind of scattered across the different documents. Some of them are, for instance, I was analyzing assent as a way of consenting for children participation in clinical studies. And those documents that I analyzed address these questions really partially, without real answers in how to practically implement. So it's really challenging to implement that in practice, and I can just imagine how it worked with you in a real world scenario. So basically, that's it for the beginning. I can expand on it later on, but yeah, that's basically briefly from my side.
So this here is the risk benefit schema that we came up as one of our leader of the project. The partner is there to the room right now. But so I know from the post-HIMSS workshop that there are some consortium that are trying to do something very similar. So I believe that this can be an opportunity in the second part of the meeting to compare the math and see how we treat the problem differently, because we were working independently. And so it would be good to see, from different countries, how we come up with the math to do a risk assessment and how they perform in different scenarios across different countries. So this is an example of our toolbox. So at the end of the day, this is actually a software that can be used from hospital regulators to assess the risk of a device. And this would be one of our deliverables. Then we have the toolbox. The toolbox is very complex, have a lot of different softwares basically combined together to do different things. And some of those are AI based. And that actually for us was the biggest challenge, because as the AI Act come in, we were fighting for our ethical committee. And so Alberto here had worked with me a little bit on that. And because we basically had to rewrite the entire protocol, because it was a study in a hospital on medical devices, but we kind of have to use a form that looks like the clinical trial for pharma and put the project into it. And perhaps Alberto can talk to me more about that. But we lost basically a year and a half just on that. And then we have, as I say, different devices with different parts. And differently than what has been done in the other project, we didn't use much of the open source code, but the partners really developed their own strategy to assess the processes in real time. This is the two pilot for you. So we have a very wide landscape. On one side, we have hospital equipment, and on one side, we have the monitoring platform. So Bambino Gesù was involved in pilot 2. But what we do basically, we have two very different scenarios, and CYLCOMED, put the two scenarios together and compare them to identify the differences, at the same time, the commonalities that can be enacted when you do the toolbox development. So pilot 1 was authentication, monitoring, malware detection, a cybersecurity aspects, while pilot 2 was more about threat detection, data protection, deployment, legal and ethical, to say, but most and foremost was about what do we do when things go wrong in an hospital setting where we have people hooked up to the telemonitoring platform. So we work very much on the validation standpoint. So when we have the toolbox in the hospital setting, let's say that leadership decided we are going to use it. What happened when the toolbox picked up something that we need to act upon? So that's all about our validation part. So for our hospital, we plan initially to have 16 patients. That child is made with AI, so don't worry about it. Privacy reason. And then we end up with 13. We have a lot of good data on the clinical side because, the patient, we have to talk with them about cybersecurity. When we enroll them, we have to add a consent. In the consent part, we have to talk about cybersecurity. That's something that is not often done. But that itself was a great finding of our projects. And these are children that are very, very sick. But we were able to successfully perform our study. Here you see a photo of Mediclinics at Bambino Gesù opening up our NUC. And that's actually one of the aspects that in our project was probably one of the most important ones. So we had to redesign the data management plan to make sure that we were under the AI Act, we are under GDPR, we were following an incoming Italian regulation on artificial intelligence, and we were being compliant with interoperability landscape. And so this is our data management plan. So we have children that wearing devices, several devices, from MediClinics being the orchestrator for the devices. And from the MediClinics platform, we pipe in the data to this small sort of computer called a NUC, in which the toolbox was installed on and was basically don't look at the patient data, but on the processes data. And explaining this to our hospital committees and leadership was probably the hardest part to design the clinical study to which actually test the entire system. And then to doing some sort of security, we implemented a clinical trial-like design to have a risk assessment done in real time to phone interview with the patient. So in this way, we were able to, overall follow up everything from the tech side to the clinical side. So we also hit some roadblocks, and these are coming from the year review. I know that some of you are going to the midterm review. So we have a lot of questions regarding business-like situation, because when you then, you perform your things, you have your toolbox, there's a lot of the IP management to be done, a lot of exploitation thing. So we're working on that. We actually resolved some of the problems. Dissemination was a lot of work on, because we are adding technology on their IP, so therefore we cannot disclose the technology before we get patent, but at the same time, we want to disseminate the funding. And so I believe that this kind of workshop is actually very good, because without disclosing too much from the technical side, we can still share lessons learned and some of the deliverables. And then we have, I go to here, they say that while we don't understand the added value compared to other cybersecurity projects. And the reason why we're doing this right now, because we also want to showcase that, by working together as Europeans, we can put our law somehow in the game, and we can see, do we have all the same experience with this kind of project? Do we have the same roadblocks? Do we have the same solution developed in our project? And in the case of junior projects, can we pass some of those ideas along? So this is a little bit about our project that is hosting here today, the meetings, and then I will invite the person that asked to go first to speak after. Who wants to go first? You wanted to present first, right?
Well, I wanted to share with you what we're doing in the task force at the moment, because we discussed with Jana, it would be also valuable for you, but I also said a few words before, and I don't know how much I should go into detail. Matthias and Alpha here also for the workshop are involved in the task force. I think I don't recognize other names. Maybe no, I think they're Matthias and Ralph. So they're in the middle of this. We are trying to, well, during presidency, we gathered some feedback during survey, also during discussion with the horizontal working party on cyber issues, with the working party on pharmaceutical and medical devices. We managed to formulate 5 questions we would like to build around our report. So it's mostly about comparing what's in MDR and what's in a CRA Act. What are the lessons learned from the CRA, and what should be taken by MDR? Also about the process of vulnerability handling, which is not in the legal acts for medical devices, and what is done by CRA Act. And also the risk of certification with patent vulnerabilities by producer of medical devices. So these are the, I would say it's too much research questions for our report. And Matias is one of the team leaders for the legal team, and we have also a technical team. So we are hoping we all this knowledge and deliver a report for NCG will be then accepted, and hopefully it will be also, it will influence the targeted evaluation, medical device regulation, which should happen next year. So it will look like that the European Commission will propose the new act or the new the amendments to medical devices regulation. It's not concentrated on cybersecurity at all, and we are afraid it won't even involve anything connected cybersecurity. So we are trying to influence the decision by delivering. So I think that's all, Diana. If you have any questions for me, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. So who else wants to present next?
Can we plug it into
Yes.
the HDMI?
It would be better if you send your presentation to me and then I can open for you.
We can give you a first one, just in the Zoom call as well, and then I can share it myself.
You're in the call or, so yeah. Perfect, thanks so much.
Hi, I'm going to present some results from the Nemesis project, which actually goes hand in hand with CYLCOMED. So I think we are the other project that we're referring to actually. We are also approaching our end soon. We are closing in December. So we have our final results more or less ready and eager to present to people. We've been 12 partners working together. You can see them here. Synthet is the coordinator of the project. I'm actually project manager. I have a lot of slides, so I'm not going to show you guys everyone. I'm just going to focus on the most interesting stuff. So an overview of the project, like I said before in the introduction round, we want to focus on enhancing cybersecurity across the life cycle of connected medical devices. So that this means that we are developing tools that will support connected medical device manufacturers, integrators, and operators with cybersecurity issues. So I think our journey has been a little bit easier than CYLCOMED because we managed to avoid some of the problems that you have. I see that now. For example, we don't do any clinical studies. Our tools is about the connected medical devices and how to make them secure. So we don't interact with our tools with any sensitive personal data at all. So we managed to steer away from GDPR in that perspective. We also have an AI related tool, but what it does is that it helps, for example, hospital to measure the potential privacy risk when they use AI models. So we don't deliver any AI model ourselves. We just have to help them assess the risks. So by that, we also steer away from the AI directive. So I see now that this probably made our journey a little bit smoother. We have 4 case studies that we use to develop our tools and to validate them. There are 4 case study partners, and they have also been using this project to make their own products more secure during this journey. So they are all very happy with the results. And we also provided recommendation on the NDCG guidelines and doing a review and gap analysis of relevant cybersecurity guidelines and frameworks. So about the tools, we have delivered 10 tools in total. So to the right, you can see that a lot of them are related to cybersecurity risks. How to assess, model, assess, and manage different types of risks that may occur. We have also tools for developers, like the firmware fuzzing tool, the secure IoT service mesh tool, secure software development, and the network assessment tool. And we also have tools to help comply with the regulations. For example, the CyberCompacts tool and the procurement and compliance tool. And if you are interested in our tools, you can learn more about them and download them from our platform. Some of them are there already, but all of them will be there before the project ends. So just scan the QR code if you're interested. The case studies, I won't have time to go into detail into all of them, but one of them is about using a measurement patch for remote monitoring of the patients. You can look at the slides later if you're interested in the architecture. We have a second one, which is a monitoring device for Parkinson's patients. We have a software as a medical device in the form of a mobile application. That's been a very interesting case for us to look at. And finally, we have a hospital-based point of care testing case, which we have used. So apart from our tools and the case studies that we used to develop them and validate them, we have also done some work on this NGSG guidelines assessment, like I said, that we're very aware of. I don't have to tell you guys what it is about. It's about helping practitioners to be compliant with MDR and IDR. And why we are looking at this is because the call that we applied for funding from actually asked specifically about this. They wanted us to identify representative case studies where the guidance would be relevant to use, evaluate the applicability of them, and make recommendations. So that's exactly what we have done. And we are really happy with the collaboration that we've had with our civil colleagues. We work together with projects. CETCOM, CYLCOMED, and Trust, MedSecure, and CyMedSec to provide feedback. And we have provided feedback both in terms of papers, the 2 papers that you can see here, but also directly to the medical device coordination group in terms of annotations to the Word document that they are working on. And we are now participating in the task force organized by Polish Health Therapist. All right, and the last thing I wanted to mention is that we are also reviewing relevant guidelines and making a gap analysis. So we made a systematic review of a lot of relevant documentations that are applicable to connected medical devices. You can see them all here, so there are a lot of them. And we have compiled a set of best practices based on these guidelines. And we are checking whether it's possible to adhere to these guidelines and identify gap or kind of features of them. So we've done this through workshops with different participants from different countries to derive our conclusions. And what we want to do with that result now may involve you guys, because we think that there is an upcoming collaboration opportunity here. Our project is soon about to end, but one of the persons that we have collaborated with, Gregory from the MedSecurity project, he has a special issue. There is coming up soon. The deadline for providing papers to this one is February 15th. Maybe this can help people from the CYLCOMED project to meet your KPIs. So if you want, we would really like you guys to work with us. Of course, you will be welcome, I'm sure, to submit your own papers in addition to this. But we are working on a paper which has it working in case study-based review of relevant cybersecurity documentation. And this is going to be based on the results that I just presented, all the relevant documentation. We have already talked to MedSecurance and Trust. They are eager to join the paper, and you're welcome as well if you want. And of course, anyone else who has experience of these cybersecurity documentation and have applied it, maybe 1 or 2 case studies, please let us know if you want to be a co-author so that we can submit a joint paper. We are also considering a second paper for this special issue where we want to map the tools and methodologies that are being developed in each project to guidelines or best practices or regulations. It's a little bit fuzzy here to me at the moment, but there is a plan for this paper because all the projects have been working in parallel. We are producing tools and methodologies. What do we cover together? That could be also an idea for another paper, we believe. So we are going to discuss this idea in a little bit more detail in our next meeting, which is on November 7th. So if you're interested in this, please feel free to let us know and we can invite you to the meeting this year, already invited, of course. So Christos from the University of Ioannina are leading the work with these papers for now. So if you want to join, please feel free to reach out to him for this. All right. So that was it.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. We will be sharing slides afterwards, right?
Yeah. So we will make sure to have a folder and we will all then together.
Can I just make a comment about the upcoming things and things you're discussing right now? Well, I anticipate some of the things that we may be discussing in the later part of this meeting. Actually, my impression is that this network of projects represent a lot of stakeholders that we usually miss. And this is a perfect opportunity to create a stable network on this kind of activities. This has a couple of implications because one is obviously future research projects in which we can participate together. We have plenty of choices for partnerships with competence from patient care to technical development to ethical expertise and so on. One. Second things, but I'm less expert in this field. This also opens up the potential to be offering services to other activities in healthcare for cybersecurity. There are a lot of technical projects in which the implementation suffers so much because cybersecurity is not addressed. And actually, what better than this actually network of consortia for addressing these kind of aspects? Well, this is coming to my mind very slowly, and I'm trying to understand how to shape this idea. But actually, I think this is the right time. We are all on the same page. We faced a lot of challenges during this project because we, as clinicians, had to overcome a lot of challenges that, if you wish, I will tell you afterwards. But actually, as well, you had to face technical challenges, ethical challenges, and so on. We have everything. And what is usually missing from all these projects is an overview which is integrating all these aspects. In general, we make this project, we start from the beginning, we end up at 36 months, and everything stops. Now, I don't know if this is possible, and I don't know how to sustain this activity. However, everything tells me that this is a potential that this network may express.
If I may add something, because during the presidency, we really, on the level of Poland, at a national level, you managed to map all the people relevant for the topic for different ministries or different offices or different centers and so on. And when we sit together in Poland, there are 7 or 8 of us working on the topic. We exchange the knowledge on the national level. I think it's not that obvious for you, but not only in capitals, we work in silos, we also work in silos in European Union. So we started to reach out to experts on the cyber field and on the medical devices field. And we, after this, I think 10 months of work, I can say, or even more, because we started before presidency, after 1 year of work, I can say and it's a common understanding of all of us in our Polish team, that experts from the cyber world and medical world don't talk together, not to mention talk to practitioners and hospitals. I can tell you how it looks when something comes into the ministry and it has a medical device in the topic. It goes to the department covering medical devices. And the e-health department wouldn't know about the subject if it wasn't the cooperation we started on the subject of cybersecurity. And this is the same in the European Union, in your capitals, in your member states. So there's a Ministry of Health, and there's a Ministry of Cybersecurity or Digitization or different names in member states. And they have experts on the subject, and they regularly even talk with each other from different ministries. And the same goes for the European Commission. I don't know if you are aware, but I think some of you are aware that DG Sante, the Directorate for the Medical Devices and Pharmaceuticals, was not even aware of your project.
Well, not surprising.
Even aware of your project. They started being aware of the projects when we told them, because we gathered the information that there are some consortium working from the Horizon Europe project on this subject, and they invited, I think it was Martin and Christianos to subgroup of MDCG. So MDCG is the main group for medical devices, and NET group is the subgroup for new technologies on medical devices to present what they are doing in fact. So they become aware of your project. So they were funded by Horizon Europe from different projects, and they were not even aware. I'm coming to the conclusion. What I see, what I think is important, if you want to have a continuity also and have an impact of what is going on in the European Union, because it's European Union decided, it's on this level being decided what happens with the medical devices and cybersecurity, etc. It's very important that you get in contact with your competent authorities in your member states, that they are aware that you, in fact, the researchers or the hospitals or the healthcare providers are working on the subject, and there was something like that, because 99%, most of the member states ministries don't know that there were projects as this, and there were people from the member states working on this project. There is so-called call for evidence. Unfortunately, it ended. It was the website of the European Commission where everybody, really literally everybody, person, organization, etc., could deliver opinion what should be changed in the subject of medical devices.
Somebody
Okay. So there were 9, because I counted, I looked through this, there were like 300 something remarks on medical devices delivered on this website. It's public, so you can check it. And there were 9 I looked up, which has something with cybersecurity within the remark. So you can filter it through the word cyber or whatever. I filtered. There were 9 remarks, and all of them were these 9 were that something needs to be changed about cybersecurity. It was 9 out of 300 something. So for the European Commission, the topic doesn't exist, basically. Everything is fine. And this is also, I think mostly I can say that attitude is between medical devices experts, because they are concentrated on safety of the medical devices for the patient. So it doesn't make harm, it doesn't have side effect or whatsoever, but it's not concentrated on security. And it's our work is to see how to show to this task force, to the experts, that cybersecurity impacts very much impact safety of patients. But it's a difficult work from the scratch. I'm feeling to make this message through. So the cyber experts always say, yeah, we are see the problem, we see the subject, and medical device experts say, what a problem? There is no problem. That was also the European Commission told us when we came to them. They said, well, we checked our information and there were only 2 vulnerabilities signaled through the, last year by through FSMs. And then we say, but look at the field safety notice. It doesn't give a space for actually notifying about cybersecurity issues. So we are still circulating around, there is no notification, so there is no problem. But there is no clear way how to notify about cybersecurity issues, and it's a vicious circle. So my conclusion is get in touch with your own competent authority in member states, see your results, do the presentation for them. They say, hey, we are here, we are doing such work, maybe you will listen to our work and see, because then you are closer to them. The second thing, those people have impact on what's being done on the European level, because when there will be a targeted evaluation, there will be a project of changing NPR. Each member state would appoint 2 marks-free experts for member states to go and contribute to the work on the European level. And those people not necessarily know much about cybersecurity. So this was my message for you.
Thank you.
May
We
I
have
jump in?
we have Ricardo want to say something?
Yes,
Ricardo,
please. May I jump in?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. As I told you, I am a representative of a medical device manufacturer. And from what we have seen so far, in my opinion, there is something very important that is not being mentioned, which is very, let's say, very critical for the future. And I think it helps very much. I'm going to share with you, let me just a little screen. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what you can see here, sorry that I cannot find a way. Okay, let me just leave it like it is. This is the environment in the operating room, or could be similar in the intensive care unit. We are talking about devices that communicate and send information to the hospital information system, for example. That means there is vital signs traveling from the monitor device to elsewhere. And there has been in the recent times a relevant issue, which is that the ISO IEEE 11073 standard is now for the first time starting to be deployed by big players. I can tell you this because I have been for many years following this issue. I was even a member of the CENTC 251 for several years. I was very much longing for this situation because this standard relates to how devices communicate between themselves and through a network to elsewhere. So it is the basis of everything. Everything starts here because data then will travel and then cybersecurity issues will be incorporated. I will not go through how this standard works, but essentially you have to understand it has taken 50 years nearly to build up this standard. And it goes to the level of making a universal language between medical devices, which means that they all talk the same language. It is a protocol called SDC, Service Device Communication. And honestly, I was not really hoping to see it with my eyes, but this year in the ESA, Euroanesthesia Society meeting, I could see it in the booth of Draeger, General Electric, Mindray, and Philips. I could see a reference to this protocol, SDC. The good thing of it, as I say, it's not only how it communicates, but also there is a language behind, there is a nomenclature, so everything is written about how the information between devices is transmitted. I will not say more about this standard, but I leave it here for you to understand that the good thing is that cybersecurity is already being incorporated in the standard. That means it is probably old technology because this is old standard and it has to evolve over time in many aspects. But there is at least a common point that big players are ready to work with and to make the standard evolve over time. And I think I bring this to your minds because I think in the future, every reference we make to cybersecurity will have to talk about this standard, because it refers to every domain in the medical sector, not only operating room, intensive care unit, medical wards, telemedicine, home care, everything. Every time there is a communication between devices, you will need to use this standard. I foresee it will take probably 7 to 10 years to become 100% deployed. But the important thing is that the big players are already doing it. So that's something that makes us think that they need it. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They need it for many reasons. And probably cybersecurity is one of the main reasons, because, I mean, unless there is one cybersecurity regulation that everybody uses, there is no way to communicate even vital signs. So everything is embedded, everything is together. And I'm very happy to tell you that I think we are on the good track. And this is a glue for finding a solution to cybersecurity as well. That was what I wanted to mention.
Thank you, Ricardo. So actually, I'm looking to the beautifully made agenda, and we have a coffee break right now. So, and as I want to provide opportunity to everybody who is the other part of the consortium, I will say we check to them to see if they're in house for the coffee break. And then Max and everybody else go to the presentation after, because I believe that as we start discussing already, it would be good to keep the format going. What do you think?
I need to press play, so is it okay if I do my presentation? I do my 10 minutes after the coffee break?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So 3.
Thank you for the invitation. As I said, my name is Evangelos Markatos. I'm with Ford and University of Crete, and I'm a member of the recently created EU Health Cybersecurity Advisory Board. Today, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about the XShare and the SHIA projects, the cybersecurity challenges in the era of the European health data space. This works. Next slide. Okay, it works. Next slide. Let me try the laser for that as well. Okay, it works. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about 2 projects. The first is the XLAB project, and the other is the SHIA project. So let's start with the XLAB project. And XLAB stands for Expanding the European Format to Share and effectively use health data within the European health data space. The European health data space is a new regulation that applies to health data. So let me give some motivation behind XShare. Those of you that have used social media probably have realized that sharing in social media is easy. Have you ever shared a picture in a social network? It's pretty easy. Have you ever shared a Facebook post with a friend? Or have you searched for a photo of your friend on your Google Photos? It's pretty easy to do that kind of things. You can do them at the click of a button, or you just search and you can find that information very easily. So sharing on social media today is pretty straightforward. But sharing in a health arena, that is sharing health data, is not straightforward at all. Have you ever searched for your child's immunizations? We had that question in a workshop that we did. Some people were never able to find immunization. I mean, it was totally impossible. Or have you tried to find how your cholesterol have changed over the past 10 years? I mean, that's theoretically possible, but it will take a couple of hours of work. That is to assemble documents and then plot them, and maybe some of the documents are in paper format, some of them are PDF format. So although it's doable, it's not easy. Or have you tried to find which periods of your life both you and your spouse had high cholesterol? That is correlating data from different people. That's next to impossible because it's hard to find, process, and display health information. Actually, it's easier to find the photographs of your recent hospitalization than to find all your immunization. And why sharing of medical data is hard? Because health data are difficult to access. And once they are accessed, they are difficult to process because in most cases they are in paper format or in PDF format. And once they are processed, they are difficult to store in the long run because very few applications exist out there to deal with medical data. The XR project wants to solve this problem and to close the gap. That is, to make data easy to access in a computable format at the click of a button. So the XR has three pillars. The first, which I'm talking about, is the yellow button, the hub, and the industry label. The yellow button is the button that you press in order to download, to get your data, or to share your data. With the yellow button, patients can download their data from hospitals, upload their data, import the data in smartphone apps, share the data with doctors, possibly abroad, possibly for a second opinion. They can follow the progress of their health, like how has my cholesterol changed over the years. They can correlate the data with family members, and they can have the full picture of their health. You may wonder, why do we need security with health data? Well, the first obvious answer that you'll get is that health data are sensitive, GDPR says so, and they should be protected in transit and at rest, exactly like GDPR in the European health data space. But you may wonder, why would anyone be interested in hacking health data? Why would hackers be interested in my cholesterol levels? Are we serious now? Do we really believe that hackers are interested in my cholesterol levels and my hospitalizations? Well, yes and no. Health data are viable. They can be monetized. They can be sold. Your data can be sold in the underground market. And why are data sold in the underground market? Do they sell my cholesterol levels in the underground market? Obviously not. But your medical data has much more than your cholesterol levels. They have your identity, name, surname, address, social security number, possibly credit cards, lots of things about yourself, and they can be used for identity theft. They can be used for insurance fraud. They can be used for targeted phishing. Do you know how much an electronic health record goes in the black market today? It's about 60 euros. If they get your record, they can sell it in the black market for 60 euros. You know how much your credit card is worth in the black market? 4 euros. So actually, cyber criminals are after your medical records rather than your credit card. And that was a revelation to me. I didn't believe it in the first place, but this is true. Your medical record for cyber attackers is worth more than your credit card. So, what are the security challenges that we have in the XR project? The first and most important security challenge is not technical, it's people challenge. We have a lot of new stakeholders interacting with the data. We have patients interacting with the data. They download, upload, share data from their personal devices, and patients are prime targets for phishing. And it's not clear if the devices they use are secure. You may trust the device in the hospital, but the device of the patients in their home, you don't know if they are secure. Maybe they are not. And another stakeholder that we have in that area is nurses, doctors, and hospital employees. Their priority is the patient. They work under pressure. They save lives. And within that pressure, trying to save lives, we're going there and we're talking about data and how to protect data and how to handle data. It's a different kind of priority. And most of these nurses, doctors, they may have not been trained in handling data. Again, they are prime targets for phishing. Now, what are we doing about, say, cybersecurity within the XR project? We have analyzed the business use case of the yellow button because this is the main application of the XR project. And we define data sharing models for use cases. Data sharing models means who shares data, with whom, when. That is, define the roles, who is involved in data sharing. And then we provide guidelines for data sharing. Guidelines for hospitals, servers, data centers, infrastructures, etc. Guidelines for doctors and nurses, patients, data processing, data protection, anonymization, pseudonymization. We have an upcoming deliverable at the end of November, which will be a public deliverable and everybody will be able to access. Now I'm going to talk about our second project, the SHIA project, and the security challenges that we see in the SHIA project. What is the problem that we are trying to solve there? Remember, XR was about sharing. SHIA is slightly different. And the problem is the European Health Data Space Regulation has been approved. Why is this a problem? Well, within the European Health Data Space, users have the right to download their health data from all hospitals in a machine-readable format, XLAB file. And this creates a skills gap. What is the skills gap? A gap is that professionals need to be trained on how to adopt the European Health Data Space, how to process data within the European Health Data Space, and how to protect data in the European Health Data Space. And you know, professionals are busy people. They don't have the time to get another degree in interoperability, which cannot just go to a doctor and tell them, go get another bachelor's degree in interoperability, 3 years at the university, in order to learn how to protect the data. No, that's out of the question. The second challenge there is that the topic is new. And there is almost no educational material about cybersecurity and interoperability. These are 2 or 3 years old topics. There is no educational material. And how do we try to close the gap? And what is the solution that we are trying to develop? Is we develop micro courses with micro credentials tailored for busy professionals that they can attend, say, in the afternoons or in the weekends. They are short, focused learning units with standalone values. They serve lifelong learning, upskilling, and reskilling. And they are certified through digital badges or traditional formats. We have identified 3 groups. The first is IT, information system specialists. The second is managers, healthcare or IT managers. And the third is healthcare professionals. For its target group, we have the topics that they should be trained. So for healthcare professionals, we have managing data information, digital content, interacting through digital technologies, etc., etc. The content on data security that we plan to develop is data protection aspects, critical to interoperable systems, key concepts of data security, privacy preserved, compliance with GDPR and European Health Data Space, cybersecurity and data security concerns, and European Health Data Space secondary use data access points. To summarize, the European Health Data Space poses new challenges because health data, as I told you, are valuable for cyber criminals because data can be sold in the black market, they can be monetized. We have new stakeholders, that's the other challenge there, patients and healthcare personnel. And these stakeholders are prime targets for cyber criminals. We need to train them to work with data in a secure way and adopt the European Health Data Space. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you feel like all these people will embrace the same tools, the same logic? Because this is ideal and it is beautiful. The problem is that everyone has its own solution, and it's very difficult that they shift to something else. this is very special for hospitals, for example. But even from the point of view of patients, most of them, they don't know even if there's something about them for their health care recorded somewhere. So this is an ideal framework. But how do you feel about the implementation of such a model? Because it's hard to think that everyone will do the same way.
That's a very good question. Yeah, maybe not everyone will adopt the same solution, but everyone will adopt the same principles. Now, the European Health Data Space is a regulation, and eventually all hospitals need to implement that regulation. So I don't think that hospitals can get out of it and say, I'm not going to implement the European Health Data Space. The technical solution for each hospital will be different and probably will be customized on different countries. Different countries will have different solutions, but they all will have to adhere to the European Health Data Space. It's a regulation that they cannot get out of it. So that's for, say, professionals, for hospitals, etc. Now for patients, you are right. It may take some time. It may take some years. I think if we start to see how not protecting the data hurts the patients, then maybe they'll become more careful. Just like you don't give your credit card number to anybody because you don't give your PIN to anybody because you get scared about that. So in the same way, they'll probably not give their medical data to anybody, or they'll protect their medical data, much like they protect the paper documents that they have at home. Something like that. It will take years, but eventually it will be done like that.
I'm coordinating something as elemental. So, Max. I called Max. It's okay. Of course. So we have another person that is arriving late. She has some issue with their plane, so she's arriving.
It's supposed to be the way.
Yep.
Lovely. As I introduced myself earlier, I'm Max. I'm from picturesque, which will be Series University Clinic. There we'll be the coordinator of semester. Basically the youngest of the Horizon projects from this fall here. Unlike the others, we're only 2 years old at this point in time. We're still so we still have another 2 years to go. So semester basically has similar core pillars as the other projects as well. And it's the same call, so I'm not gonna rehash all of this. Just for everybody, this is a quick overview as to where we are in terms of timeline. So unlike with the other project, we don't have any case studies right now because they're still coming. So like our case studies are, as you see towards the end. But in the meantime, we did most of the open source stuff. And are busy working on that. Overall, just going to do a quick introduction. It's a very multidisciplinary team, very network and so on and so forth. And up until now, we're mostly busy with applications as our main form of output or conferences, and have started with the first bits of tooling as well. So we have tools as well as were introduced by the other Horizon projects, and some demonstrators. But my main point for being here is, as we have in this project, we still have some issues to iron out and have a few questions for the people being here. So I'm going to skip over part of the presentation, just for the sake of it. We also contribute to the NSG comparison, find some gaps that we would like to see solved eventually, and are happy to collaborate on this further. But yeah, so us, what comes next? Our main issue that we want to focus on here is the standardization part. where we kind of want everybody's input. And this we so nicely heard now about the healthcare professionals being training. We also kind of want to establish the current state of our stakeholders in the first place. Our stakeholders in that case are participants for Delphi studies, and his speed questionnaire, which would be medical device manufacturers. I know with Ricardo that we already have one potential victim for this, which I'd like to recruit for this, and with all the other projects present here, if you had possible participants and medical device manufacturers, each point them our way.
Only are wrong. That's mainly lying.
Let's see it here, right?
That's the reason why it's not right. We'll have a discussion later.
Exactly, why we'd like some people to participate. We also have a cybersecurity questionnaire for healthcare professionals, where I'm sad that I'm most fit to lead right now, because we also want to ask the same kind of questions as to more focused on, okay, what are your issues in day-to-day business? Do you even think about cybersecurity in the first place? If you do, how much time do you spend on cybersecurity? If you don't, how much time should you spend on cybersecurity instead? How much time will you be spending on cybersecurity? Would you prefer one of the fancy YubiKeys, which ironically for once in my life don't have in my pocket, or would you prefer this time I was talking on pocket, the other parts for as well to log into a device? And so on and so forth. And we're also looking for contributors to a SAN workshop agreement, where I have some reasoning as to exactly that is led by another partner from Greece. On our end, I'm also a bit sad that Magdalena had to leave, because I had to go with you slide as to why you need SAN workshop agreements over direct standards. That's either way. And then we have the additional challenges that I've heard here before in the first presentation. One issue is the IT management, where I'd like feedback for our project, if that's possible at all. If you have any points in that. And another part that's very dear to us is to discuss how we can gain more traction with that. It's probably a common denominator for all projects here. How can we actually take care that our findings are being heard by people? How do we manage to see our findings reaching the right people? And then actively reaching out to us if they're working on something in this area. And just kind of enhance cybersecurity in this area. So for the medical device manufacturers, I think you are good for you right now.
Later on, but yes.
In that case, I'll send it to you personally afterwards.
Yes, I think so. You can have my phone number, and I can get you in contact with people who actually do the work about cybersec, so that you get reasonable answers and not project manager.
And then also give you contact information for all use as well.
Very much appreciated.
No guarantees that they.
No, it's that's perfectly fine.
And we have actually some validation data from our deliverables. So we did make questionnaire of patient biodigital. So we have interview patients in the clinical trial center of cybersecurity, if you want, right?
Yeah, but
And
go ahead.
no,
No, well, one question, because actually,
Those are the questions.
I don't want to discourage you because of the things that might happen. I don't know how is your level of confidence or what happens in cybersecurity inside a hospital, for example. You go into a clinical ward and you discover that all passwords are on post-its on the screen and are shared between people and things like this. So, and clinicians don't care that much, and they are right, because their thought should be for the care of patients. So this is one big challenge that is difficult to address, very difficult.
Absolutely.
That this is hard. The second thing is that we struggle for finding out standardization is always the magic word. People hate standards.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. So we try and try and try.
Look at them.
Well, somebody tried to meet the standards, others don't want to. And actually, this is a big problem, because it's the reason why we can't make all data interoperable, because people don't want to follow standards, especially when standards require a big effort in transforming their data and other things. That's another point. From the IP rights, this is a very good discussion. We have it open, and I think today and tomorrow we will try to find out something, because it's strange that clinicians or a clinical entity would pretend to participate in the creation of this kind of tools. But this is absolutely crucial, because without the input of the final users and those who provide data, at the end is patients' data, you can do anything. So this complex framework is something that you should take into account, because this is exactly the story that we had during the last 3 years.
Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I think that the problem is not the standards per se, because standards are good to uniformize vocabulary, people know what they're talking about, how to implement stuff, etc. Everything like the problem is overload of standards that don't communicate with each other, each with its own vocabulary, and people need to know all of them. They need to implement everything, and most of the time they are not even congruent with each other.
Yeah, that was also an issue is, for example, when we point back to the NSG standard or the NSG document, then you have the issue of, okay, this one, the NSG 2016 has the issue that's not very uniform or consistent in the level of details it's providing. So, for example, it names a few very direct points where you can say, okay, this is based on, and I can just follow this, and sometimes it's very general. It says, yeah, follow best practices without pointing anybody towards what is the current best practice, where then suddenly your findings with your, I think, 700 points in your extract standards come in, that best practices come in, and much more interesting if these are actual findings where you can go, okay, we have 700 best practice items. Then we can clearly list, and somebody doesn't have to follow and search the overall listings, look for our national bodies in terms of me, for example, the German BSI, and look for their best practices they recommend, and so on and so forth. And there's a very clear distinction of, okay, I don't have to look basically everywhere, but I can follow a set of best practices, and following these, I'm also likely to also fulfill a large part of the requirements made performed by such standards being mental.
Yeah, but now, for example, you have the ISO 14901, which was to do with medical devices, but then you have some part that says you need to take care of cybersecurity as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I do that? Oh, you have to go to another standard to see everything, etc.
And with the risk management standards, also an argument that we've seen is some manufacturers that co-manufacture for the bodies, for the device manufacturers that are in our consortium, so just supply them some parts, basically don't follow what we would consider best practices, but due to this risk management argument, we can say, yeah, okay, it's in our risk management file, we consider an unencrypted database not to be an issue, because given our risk management, even if it's connected via network and highly accessible, we deem the risk negligible. And then this kind of behind the argument where really question, okay, there's no actual argument to not encrypt the database because it's a non-ethic for most case.
But I will actually, we talked about this in the previous workshop. I believe that it's not your framework, and into your framework, the same case will be a great opportunity for like these small projects to see if we find the same risk assessment, because we have two completely different workflows for the final outcome that is the same, because also they prioritize the risk. You know what we do is we didn't see so perhaps this is an opportunity to work together as they are just finished theirs and our writing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good idea, because then you have a comparison of two workflows that are completely developed separately and convergent same outcome. So
We have slightly changed our approach. We don't have a risk assessment tool anymore, but we went and said, went and said, okay, especially with the conferences where we had some medical professionals and found that they no inkling whatsoever about how cybersecurity works and how adding features to a device can also increase the potential attack surface. We basically made a bit of an educational tool, basically just shows them like, okay, yeah, you can address this, but
smart.
But you can also don't just add everything blindly and don't add libraries or libraries where you don't know where stuff is being maintained and where stuff is coming from. If in the end it could come back to bite you.
Can I comment to this just from healthcare professional on this one? It's very interesting for me to listen to your topics that are actually similar to what we do in digital work. And there is one topic that's emerging almost everyone is this translation of something what we do into practice. And this is, I think, crucial part to see. So we, Medical Doctors Slovenia, we try to focus on this, not to standards. What's the potential of this to actually work in practice? And there are, of course, pessimistic voices on my left side, but I'm more optimistic, especially because of because we focused on this. We said if you don't translate this into practice, why would you do it? And this is when we say, oh, we created a tool that they can click, and this is so we said there is only one point that we want to focus on is civilian doctors. Will it work in practice? And then now we said this is pessimistic voices, but we said this is too important for our patients to be pessimistic and to not invent better ways how we do it. And we said, well, how we do it? We actually create some paper documents. I said we are in the middle of publishing some paper in high-ranking journals. But what are your means to translate this? Does anybody really work from them? This is important question. How to do it? There is a very long topic, but to make one of our good examples of what we currently do in Slovenia, we actually try to somehow create what colleague has said, communication. Communication is a crucial part. How did you organize communication around this problem? And if you look at it, that's fact. What is it? You can see it's nice. It's a huge gaps of how we communicate this. And one good practice that we actually did is that we try to create a middle layer for communication. So what we thought that on the local level, people are struggling and people will never get this resource. On the central level, or max levels, they actually don't see. We also heard this today. We have like the European Commission, they don't even know that they have these projects, and then this communication doesn't flow. What we did is this middle layer in context that we try to to create a middle layer with people from healthcare that know something about this, and then to create some way that they can effectively communicate. So this would be a middle layer between top structure and the local. And but not in this institutional way as it works. I said we have a board for this, board for this. No. We said medical chamber has to solve this problem. We have to work on this, and we have to know if there are security problems, we have to have a meeting to distribute. And I can actually say that we will do this. And for us, it's very helpful. For us, it's very helpful what you do, because we get structured things that we can distribute, and we created the means to distribute. This is, I think, very important topic. Create a means to distribute, and then to create a political. This is extremely important. So they have this middle layer for communication. This has to be very well thought of. This cannot be left to chance, because it's always left to chance. This doesn't exist. But we actually struggled only on this middle layer to create this junction that can translate these technical things in practical implementation. And what I missed from your work is you would actually have to create a knowledge transfer middle layer. This is what you would now need. So what you create is for your communication. This cannot be, you can try with some tools or something, but this just the special effort should be done to create this middle layer to transfer. And then this is a structure that needs to be specially taken care of. And when you have this middle layer for communication, then you need political power. This is the next thing. So you need someone to implement. When I meet people like you, I'm IT doctor in a sense. I always love to talk with IT people. This is my passion. But the problem is that you're always isolated. You're totally isolated. We don't have any real political power. This is a department of security. Those are some guys, and they don't have any political influence. So for you, extremely important to connect to the left, to have a good connection to the stakeholders that have strong political influence. So those are two. If I would stress two things that are very important and are totally missing, is how do you translate what you do in real political force? This is important. We did it. We have a structure for this because we thought this is the most important that this works. So everything else is we have standard for 20 years in the IT, but they don't get translated. So we said this is the only thing that's really worth to do. So you need middle layer. So this is knowledge transfer layer and a structure, organizational structure that supported with different. But this is specially done for this. You need a political power. We put it in the law. We said doctors said we have to have these doctors here. So they will disseminate, and there will be doctors that will know what they talk about. This structure is small, it's agile, that works, that can transfer meaningful those parts. So I would conclude that I'm much more optimistic. And as a representative of SHIA project that was presented, we are working on this, and also I'm somehow also representative of CPME. This is a standing committee of European doctors. This is an association of majority of medical associations in Europe, and I'm a member of digital group. And we are working on this. We are trying to create this sort of knowledge, of digital power, push this, and I think this and create this communication. To solve this communication problem. So this is my optimistic 5 minutes, but I will then leave it to the debate.
This goes very well with the things that I was trying to suggest before, because what if we, in this network of projects, share together a knowledge base, which is easy. So we have deliverables, we have official documents, we have experiences. This is easy. We can make a place where all this information is shared for our information and for our use, and try to elaborate on that to create something that may be used for political reasons, for political pressures, or for other projects and other things. This is easy. This is very, very easy.
And regarding that, we even especially got the feedback for an annual review where our main point was, okay, it's nice that this consortium, our consortium is writing academic papers. However, what we were specifically asked to do, henceforth, was also to create a number of policy and white paper kind policy briefs and white papers, just writing actually have a specific target in mind and write specifically for them so that can be disseminated and can be provided to them so that the people in charge of a specific field or responsible for something can either be educated or informed about something that might be action or needs action. Yes.
The problem is that if you write something, somebody has to read it.
Yeah.
And all our projects are basically writing big books about cybersecurity in the hands that I don't believe any of our providers gonna read. I mean, that comes up with question, but basically what they want about the 5 billion stack, big, massive stuff. I do believe that, for example, work with PA that is doing this like macro learning, so it'll be a good opportunity for all of us. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We have the real clinics, real patients are your pilot. We can't do provider delivering content, right? For that. So we just have to find the right way to put the energy in together projects so we can actually maximize the impact. And if we do create a knowledge base, let's say we want to start some sort of European stakeholder committee, right? That maybe meet once a month, for example, and we find some low-key deliverables, like we can make even an AI agentic trainer on that if we want to. Sorry, I work on AI and agents. So we can do that, you know what I mean? We can deliver content in a way that can be targeted to a different audience. I can make the same document you write in a way that it can be understood by a teenager going to an RPM monitoring program. Because it can make an agent that they were to wrote, digest it, and find the right communication for that target, right? And so we can make what we produce for some of the people, every level, every profession, visible, right? For example, just an idea. The Max Nisha presentation, we can have a frame, and then we have actually the person that just joined it still to do this herself. What do we want to do first? Presentation first?
My main points are basically everybody engaging in discussion about this. So I think we covered most of these points I've written there. So anybody who felt like they fall under either the category of HCP or medical device manufacturer, please contact especially Oscar or me. And we will send you all of the very annoying information on questionnaires that are either currently ongoing or will be launched by the end of December.
Yeah. So you need data, you're collecting data. You're using us to collect data.
Yes.
Okay, good. So maybe you introduce yourself. By the way, hi.
Hi, I'm Jasna Zajc. I come from HIMSS. So HIMSS has been supporting various European projects at the conference in Paris. So some of the things are familiar. I think my colleague Mariana is also on the call following the discussion that you are having too. So I look forward to just hearing a little more about the results and the recommendations that you have.
So again, as we mentioned before, thanks so much for your work at HIMSS. The report was beautiful. We actually circulated a report in our stakeholder at the hospital. So actually Daniela is in IT, got it, our cybersecurity head got it, our head of IT got it, and everybody really loved how it was made. So thanks so much for that.
If you have any feedback or recommendations for improvement or any additional recommendations that you think were useful to add, just let us know.
Thank you so much. And thank you also for the data that you collected from the stakeholder. We don't have the time to go through that, but that's for something that this stakeholder might work on it. We have this long list of recommendations that potentially can be useful for projects moving forward. So who is next in presentation? Do we cover everybody? Online, there is somebody that has to present? Silent. Actually, I'd like you to ask if you can present your risk assessment tool very quickly, if you have one slide ready.
Well, not the tool per se, but the risk management methods.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
And the way that we did.
I just don't have the room.
Yeah, and Jada, can you, Jada? Brian checking. Okay. Give me 1 second, Joel. And then, so you have to remove the wall. And we go.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, where I don't agree with some of it is, also regarding the professional plan. Of course, I know that, I'm also a patient in our local hospital. Like, I know that stuff is not like devices are being left unlocked while they definitely should not be. And as a person working there, I'm always trying to go and cause some mischief to get people to figure out that maybe.
I'm an engineer.
Yeah, I'm a computer scientist, so.
It's design. That's one of the things that we always discuss. Is if you design correctly, people do whatever you want to, but it's if the design is not perfect.
Yeah. And that's where part of the argument comes in, especially if Matthias Neumann, for example, is still listening. Something we not like to think that you can able to see that there's obviously very usable security measures. For example, as I point in the camera, the funny Java Apple cards, where you can go, sign in and off, and if Apple card isn't in the vicinity anymore, you're being locked out automatically, for example. And this would suddenly become much more reliable in terms of getting the sign off and off, sign on and off managed in the passwords, but also would allow for stuff like role-based access control, where you automatically also configure the correct privileges for everybody. And our IT department, for example, desperately wants this. They're like itching their fingers, they're sitting there and they're like, give me the new toy, but it's obviously also a question of finances. So for example, we just have, like, I'm just gonna go there because I always have it in the backpack. We have the economic password thing. We have like our key fobs, which are like a total of 3 different systems to log into something. Where like, okay, I have a YubiKey for my VPN, I have 2 separate dongles, one of them manages my door, the other one manages our printer. And one of them is also deprecated again at this point in time. And that would be okay if the university hospital had the finances to say, okay, we can basically forward everything and just have one of the nice Java cards or whatever that's certified, then we could replace half of these or all of these and just have one Apple card that you can also have like on your detachable or like XLAB string. And you basically have a significantly more usable device and more reliable device than my lovely keyboard. That doesn't always
You know
work.
what's the problem with that? You know why they don't do that? Because actually I had that in the other hospital I was really sure. Our IT department, and we will tell you more, they're worried that we lose the card. And so, making new card, a new ID, is less easy than just call the number, the PP18, and just get your password set. Really?
Well, I would balance the benefits and risks.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Go ahead, but good discussion.
You can continue then later.
Okay, so basically
put some slides into one PowerPoint very quickly in order to present risk management for connected medical devices. And I've compiled here. This is not for you to read it now because it's very small. Basically, in CYLCOMED, we did systematize lots of standards, being ISO 27005, one of them, which has to do with IT cybersecurity risk management, adopting the ISO risk management framework. Okay. So, of course, they talked about establishing the context, identifying risk analysis, risk evaluation, risk treatment, and then you have also communication and consultation, which is very important on the framework, recording and reporting of information and monitoring issues. But on the other hand, we also have the ISO 14971, where we need to define the manufacturer of medical devices that have to define what is the user intent, what is the normal use, what is the abnormal use, and then within that, we have to define the correct use, which include the intended use or other uses like maintenance, so forth, so on and so forth, which is the reasonable foreseeable use. We have the use error, which has to be predicted by manufacturers. We have the foreseeable user behavior as well, and then we have the unforeseeable user behaviors, which is the part that manufacturers cannot predict that. So they do that. And this has to come into the risk management framework as well. And this is the overall process flow diagram, which again, we have the context, risk assessment, risk control, evaluation of overall residual risk, risk management review, production and post-production activities. You can find this information in our website, by the way. So feel free to go to the website. Yeah, you have the deliverables. It's even more beautiful with explanations and everything. Underneath it, we have risk management plan, which has to inform everything. Plan, you have to document everything. So this is more or less the overall structure of the ISO 14971 process diagram flow. And then basically we have to know where to apply cybersecurity controls into the medical device safety realm. But usually this is not explained how. And it's impossible to explain how because you have so much medical devices, so much levels of riskiness, let's say. You have on the patient side, if he knows or not how to use the device, what is his condition, etc., etc. This is a huge pain for manufacturers, for healthcare providers, for patients. And there's a very problematic, let's say, ocean of taxonomies here. So we immediately see a problem with communication. So how do we communicate everything for everybody to understand? And I mean, we have this set of cybersecurity controls, which is huge, and then we have to adapt to each case, to each infrastructure. I mean, this is overwhelming. This is for the ISO 27. This one is for ISO 27001 controls, which is the de facto standard of cybersecurity. And then we have the privacy ISO 27701, which is you can apply the standard if you want to be compliant with GDPR, which is another set of controls, which, by the way, we need to match with ISO 27001. So the problem. And here in CYLCOMED, we studied all these frameworks, and we just thought, why not simplify the concepts? And we have people on the left. We must have some access control mechanism to access whatever assets it is, whether it is data, medical device, the infrastructure, router, whatever. And within these assets, we need to have some safeguards for confidentiality, integrity, availability, and also privacy and data quality. So privacy and data quality are very important, not only for GDPR, but also to protect machine learning data. the model statement as well. So that is why these two set of, let's say, domains, we have put it here, right? So this is very important. And then, of course, we have the monitoring and logging. We have to monitor everything that happens to the assets. We have incident management as well. And of course, we need to feed this somewhere. We need to feed this into continuous improvement cycles, and we need governance on top in order to know how to spend money, what resources do we need? Do we need to buy new equipment? Do you need more training for personnel? So this all has to come together, right? But again, we saw this as, why not simplify the domains? We cannot have that much controls. I mean, it's completely crazy. And those controls you can see as governance or confidentiality of whatever of these domains, but you can separate it by procedural and technical. So that's it. And of course, we have some examples. The governance with a leadership commitment, to see some signing clearance or stuff. You have to have a risk management strategy, etc. I'm not going into details here because you already know some of the controls. But, and this is more or less what we did in the framework. We also separated what are controls from what are principles, which we don't have in this slide. But for example, security by design and privacy by design, those are principles, not like controls per se. You can put controls to prove this, but those are not controls per se. This is what people do. So this is what we had to show regarding this. Of course, we also presented a way of looking into the vulnerabilities and into what type of cybersecurity control we have to implement. And this is very well known. This is a cyber kill chain thing. Framework that we adopted here in order to simplify. We have headers, meet the attack, for example, meet the defense. That is overwhelmingly complicated. So that's it for my presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, but I like your simplification of taxonomy. Very, very nice, and I really like these quality issues that you added as the important element. So that we have a practical insight what's happening. But I think we are missing just an added very nice concept. Or maybe I'm not aware because I'm not from this. But add-on outcome of transparency of what's doing, of managing of real data quality over in practical work. So if you want to do governance, then you need insight what's happening. Our practical problems in Slovenia, when we started to, then we tried to find even simplest data in fair manner. Because we are talking about taxonomies, we are talking about governance with data about what's happening in fair manner. So I think, is there anything done on this?
No, because we only focus on the cybersecurity aspect.
But this would be, because then you would transfer this data, what's happening to the governance in fair manner. So they're interesting things, and I'm looking forward to maybe that.
And the thing with transparency, and we look into something that is integrated in the monitoring and logging, but I know that it has to be further developed.
So then you would need a framework to manage this for governance purposes in fair way. Yeah, this
also as well that point, how did you like configure those to the three main CIA pillars?
Yeah.
But when, for example, if you pick the rest of this CIA and A extension, then we need to consider like non-repeatable vulnerability. So
the criteria that we use for what was practical to implement, like in an organization. The organization knows what is monitoring, logging, they know what is incident management, they know what assets are, access control, governance, continuous improvement. So this is something that's well established, everybody knows, right? And then, of course, the cybersecurity, we need to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? But if you want to go to the extreme, you can say that everything has to do with access control. So you can compress everything into access control, which does not make sense as well, because you might use some other controls for integrity, some other controls for confidentiality, availability. Yeah, I mean, why use only one asset? You multiply it by several assets, and then you have redundancy, availability, so that's the thing. And of course, privacy, you can say that lots of things are from confidentiality, but then again, you have other controls from GDPR, like you need to manage consent, you need to give the right to access the data, so on and so forth. This is not cybersecurity. And then data quality, which has to do with the GDPR, but it's another set of controls. You need to have some way of verifying if things were altered or not, which might not fall directly into monitoring and logging, because you're monitoring and logging other stuff that are not from cybersecurity. So it's tricky, but what we try to do is see what is organic in the management point of view, and then go from there to the technical, and then from the technical to the management perspective. And we come up with this, which we think is a good balance. It's not overly simplified, but it's not overly complicated. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of stating, okay, we want to be as complete, like we want to cover every single aspect and more, but this is more.
Like for example, if I want to use this to manage a program, the whole cycle of the program, I mean, I have to be careful with data quality, right? Which in this case, data quality is not data foundation, it's software per se, right? And then of course, you will have to have more integrity, availability. You might think that, well, if it's server is down for one day, maybe I can manage because the software is in production in another place or whatever. Confidentiality, you might say that it's not that problematic because most of the things that I use is open source. So for that, it's not that. But if it is an AI model, okay, so maybe data quality is very important. And if you're using patient data, okay, privacy is very important. And then confidentiality and integrity. So you see, you can, depending on the context that you're using this framework, you can put more importance in one block than the other, you see. So that was using the different things.
I'm gonna hold my problem instead.
No, just to understand where we can move to, because actually most of the projects that we have here are close to an end, except for yours. So this is a good thing because you have a big responsibility. You can use these connections and these links for reinforcing the things you're doing. And I personally would be very happy to follow what's happening in your project. And I would simply say that some simple actions that do not cost to us very much should be pursued. For example, sharing the documents that we have collected. This is something that we can put in a common folder, in a shared folder, which is not very difficult. And well, I know Diana does that, but actually this opens the door to a lot of tricks. For example, doable with ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever to make a brief synthesis of whatever it is in these deliverables, which is one of the things that I would do. also because many of the stakeholders represented here have had different experiences and different problems, different challenges. We as clinicians are very worried about what happens to the patient when there's some disconnections and something is not working properly. And we can ask all this knowledge base, how can we address this? On the other hand, the manufacturers can have some responses to their own challenges. If possible, I would encourage asking questions to this knowledge base just to extract the practical uses of all this work that we have been doing in the last years. This is one thing. Regarding the political issues, this is hard because we can try to approach the ministerial end, which is very easy, but the time required to do something concrete is never ending. That's one of the things that I would expect, because unless there's a big emergency about cybersecurity hospitals, nobody cares. That's more or less the situation. So it is one thing that I would take into account, but I would work as you can. But in the meantime, I would do something external for this, which is sharing, not only between the components of the group, but also with others. And we have some experience. We can pick up information. We can make education initiatives. We can speak in conferences. I don't know what is your experience, but we're called every single time, every single day to let's have a focus on artificial intelligence in this specialty. Or we can do the same with cybersecurity because it's very novel field for many healthcare workers, and possibly try to find out some extra financial supports, research projects for doing something that is continuing this sector. Am I?
Yes, I totally agree with you. Yes, I think we are sharing the same worries. And also I feel your pain when you're pessimistic. I feel it. I know from where it comes from. But I wanted to say that sometimes we forget about this political field. It's extremely important. Currently, CME is allocating, for example, something that is very good for a concern. We are actually educating around all Europe on single sign-on, so that you don't single sign-on 5,000 times, and also for sign-on on surgeons and the European doctors, we are advocating for this. This is something that gives a lot of power. And then there is something else. This debate from Keys, and this is extremely important, but I again feel your pain because you're alone at your hospital, and then you are talking to this surgeon and say, oh, this is perfect. And this one says, and then it stays there. So what I wanted to say that it gets more power, it gets on a higher level, but not on some superficial level. It has to be targeted on extremely targeted on really something that moves. And this is their opportunity. I didn't mean to make it now at this end of the video, but in a sense that this is something that this sometimes forget, because I hear all those people. I hear him, the guys from IT that are on the same problem, and then no one knows what they're talking about. They want to oversimplify and talk to one, but they're doing this small circle. You put it in a higher circle, and you add on weight in it. So that you try to not to leave it in a parliament when no one understands what or something, but you actually create a legal bullet that pushes. So this is how we are trying to do. This was just a sharing idea to make to make you two and all of you heard more. That they hear you. This is what I wanted to because I know that because I talk with all do the same and they are not heard.
I'm not sure that in your project there's room for creating a working group with these connections, because actually having a label would be great. Actually, if we have not any more resources for going on and continuing this discussion, maybe joining and trying to be not supportive, but actually connection with another project helps us to have a title, a label. Well, that would be one thing.
Just from perspective, managing the working group, or we could also tell anything from the
I'm not sure what we can do because actually, without resources, nobody works.
Yeah, exactly. Because, for example, for our project, I pretty much know the numbers and
But
all money is accounted for somewhere.
so I wonder that if having just a title would help for making something else, even from the political point of view, being recognized as a working group instead of single people. Well, we are many because we are how many consortia? I think we're 9 or 10. So many people, and actually we can make a difference because we're many. And we have different roles and different. We can play different actions at the local and an international levels. Well, I'm right now I'm involved, for example, I'm the president of the International Society for Pediatric Innovation, which is something which is interesting, and I use this role for delivering some information internationally, which is useful. I believe that everyone in this room has similar roles that can be spent for delivering the message.
No, absolutely.
Well, let's think about that. I'm not sure that we can make a decision right
I
now.
think should we empty the room just for a minute so they can?
Okay. Good. Okay. So just to make a recap, and you can sit down. Well, however, so for those people that were in the other room, actually, we had a fruitful discussion about the challenges and the expectations of the other projects in the European Union that were focused on cybersecurity in healthcare. And actually, we feel like we have a strong foundation for future work because we are many. We are speaking of a number of consortia working in the same field. We generated a lot of information that might be a knowledge base when putting all the things together. And we are interested in continuing our work possibly in future activities and possibly in research projects. So one thing is that very simply, we can try first to share the information that we produced so far, which is nice. It is something that we can declare, JADA, in our deliverables, say we share, which is one of the magic words, all the knowledge that we generated with the other projects, and we make possibly a common repository of all these things, which will be accessible to all these people and maybe to others. This allows to do a simple game, which will be make the exercise for single stakeholder to make questions to this knowledge base and try to understand what is the response to specific challenges from the point of view of the clinician, the point of view of the manufacturer, the point of view of the lawyer, whatever. And I think this exercise would be very interesting and possibly generating also documents that would be useful for other people. Second output would be education. Actually, so many people involved in cybersecurity projects, it would be a waste just not thinking about education initiatives. And I think it's also your experience. People ask for education in fields where there's nothing. And believe me, there is nothing in cybersecurity for healthcare. We just decided to make a workshop with Ginevra and Diana. And actually next week we will have a workshop which is 3 hours long, speaking on cybersecurity and data protection for clinicians and clinical research. In 1 week, we had 50 people attending, which never happened. So means that there's a request. And for those who are interested, there's also an international convenience for those making this job. People making education initiatives are paid well if you're interested. And this would be also another point. For example, if we feel like we would set up an education course, which is at the international level on this topic. I think will be solved very, very interestingly with nice returns on investment. This is one second thing, which is education. I feel like the other thing that we were discussing is political pressure, just to raise the recognition of the topic and also the things that can be done. This is more difficult, but actually with more people it's easier. We can speak with our stakeholders at the Ministry of Health, which is something that we do usually, and try to connect with the other projects. Many of the comments were ministers of health do not know that these projects are existing. They don't know, simply. So making something that happens with them might be very useful at the international level for making something else, which might be slower because, you know, politicians are very slow to adopt new things unless there's an emergency. But actually, I feel like that this is the right time. And finally, I think that the last things that we can do together is screening for future opportunities for research in the same field. Because actually, I would be very happy to continue and discuss these things, because as always, we started with a project that we were very uncertain. We had a big challenge to overcome, and we struggled to make everything happening. We are now at the end. We have a lot of experience on problems. Possibly the next project would be much easier than this. That would be another point. So with that, I don't know if you have any additional comments, but I feel like this is the major outputs that we can consider from this meeting. My actually ask to you is not spread out and actually disconnect from this discussion, because this might be ongoing, and try to find out common fields in which we can work together again. That's the feeling that I get. I don't know if you have additional comments before you leave, but also take the advantage to speak with people that were in the other room and are more technically involved in the solutions that we adopted in CYLCOMED. That might be also a good thing. Obviously, you can connect later and ask for specific questions with all of us, because we are always open. Don't know if you have additional comments, please.
I have one.
Please.
I mean, one point that we also raised this morning is about that contribution to recommendations to the guidelines for connected medical devices.
Yes.
And we had a discussion also in the afternoon about this with Esteban, as we have two tools that are based on AI. One concrete on machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started a little bit of this. What do we say? What's our contribution to these recommendations? How to use machine learning tools? In a sense that we didn't find any obstacles in a way that whatever was, let's say, on the way of clinical trials and clinical testing didn't affect the usage of machine learning tools in our use cases. So this was, like, say, a positive experience as a contribution to say to more as a use case, as a example of good practice for somebody that could use these tools in relation with connected medical devices. I don't know, maybe if for the other, since AI and AI privacy and data protection are a hot topic, if any from the other projects has any kind of similar experience or issue with AI tools, if they use AI tools in cybersecurity at all or not. That
not sure, but actually, I can't remember if a couple of them had one. Can you remember any specific use case in which you have AI-based tools? You don't. Okay.
So what we do have, however, is we have a separate project that will launch hopefully next year, not international, but like Germany is sectionally specific, where we will have AI-enabled CSS, so clinical decision support systems, in remote patient monitoring systems. So any findings in that regard. So we're not at the stage of actually looking into the possible troubles yet, because we're busy with Cybersec at the same time. But any findings or any troubles yet there, we're more than happy to basically listen to all of your information, all the issues you have, and possible solutions.
Yeah, very good. Okay, because this was like a
Interesting.
AI topic for today.
Exactly.
This is what our experience that was not.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mentioned the AI models in my presentation, but it's not that we have a tool. It's based on an AI model. We have a tool that assesses privacy risks of using AI models. That's something a little bit different.
It's a risk assessment more.
Yeah, privacy risks of AI models that I used to have.
Does Matej also asking to speak? Matej, please.
Hi. First of all, I would like to applaud all the presenters that are really working hard to safer e-health. Yes, medical devices are a problem. I've had my share of complications with them. And finding a way to data storage and transmission protocol standardization is, I think it's a mandatory step. I love the idea of risk management strategies that you talked about, decision-making networks, and all the strive towards all best practices in all OC layers. But my question is actually addressing a huge elephant in the room. Sorry, I have to ask this. It easily trumps all the efforts that we talked about. I'm sure you all know, at least those in IT, Apple introduced client-side scanning in 2021. Microsoft introduced Windows Recall, and the last Copilot Windows update of 30th of September this year has actually cemented the recall function. The screen snapshot function of every 10 seconds on all Windows devices with the new NPU chips. And even Google introduced Google Safety Core update on the early, I think it was 2025. All the solutions, actually all basic operating systems now have the capability to scan physical media and or snapshot the screen. Those are actually basic operating systems that we all use, that the patient use, and they effectively, if you think about it, kill all encryption protocols and all authentication protocols, because the AI that's above those layers can actually recognize the content on the screen, and optical character recognition also, yes, and image recognizable tools are there to know what the screen, what is on the screen. So all of these efforts that we talked about actually become quite useless. I'm sorry to say it otherwise. So my question is, it's really hard to say what they do since they're closed source solutions. In theory, they are contained to the computer, but when there's a possibility, there's always a way to hack it, if not otherwise. My question is for CYLCOMED, has it addressed this issue so far? Does it mean that these three operating systems that I think hold 99.9% are even appropriate for healthcare use? And do you think there's a legal way to regulate our basic operating systems? Do you think we'll all have to move to Linux?
Very difficult, actually. Well, I don't know if anybody has the one, please. Sorry. Joel has something to say as well.
Yeah, for some time now, I'm a great apologist of build everything in the European Union and we control everything that is on the hardware and on the software. Because I mean, I don't trust this. I really don't. I only use Windows and I only use Lenovo because it's what my company uses. I would prefer using something built in Europe, and I would prefer using a software, an OS that is built in Europe, for example. Even if it is an open source Linux distribution, I don't care, it's better.
No, that's a difficult question. Thank you for raising this concern because this would require much longer thinking for addressing at least some limitations of the invasion of privacy from this kind of tools. Actually, I don't think that we could address them in the framework of CYLCOMED or other projects. But thanks, because you're recalling something that we know and we don't care for, and it's something that we should recall every single time. Thanks.
We have less possibility to influence than something else.
Exactly.
That's the reason. And we have the legacy of using Windows and other OSs that it became now. Like as you said, these are only recent developments. Maybe in 1 year, the Microsoft will use Copilot to gather even more data, something else. So, but we have less possibility to influence unless, as Joel said, made in Europe or designed in Europe. But even that wouldn't be, let's say, a 100% guarantee if there is a company that is big enough that can, I don't know, you have backdoors and so. You can be the first one if it's from.
You can make it verified.
Yeah.
The technology that you can do it.
Yeah, no, because this is how we regulate stuff in Europe. So that's the thing, yeah. But it won't be the first time maybe a government would ask to open a back door to some OS.
Exactly. Exactly.
Then we are again in the issue of compromise.
I wonder if somebody from HIMSS has something to say, to comment, because actually this is a very strange group. I'm not sure that HIMSS has so many people crazy like us. However, I'm curious about your feelings and actually your perceptions of all these activities and possibly deployment of other actions within the HIMSS framework.
So there's kind of two things that I would emphasize in this context in terms of what our priorities are. And one is thought leadership and education, which is where, you know, the whole initiative about creating this knowledge, not file, but like, what's the
database?
Database, yeah. Knowledge database would be very useful. Also from the perspective that there's always this problem with European projects that after the project finishes, nothing happens. There's a nice website that nobody uses. There's so many work tracks that have reports, but nobody looks at them. So that would be definitely very useful. I was also very kind of curious about the 3-hour program that you mentioned that you organized for PhD.
Very simple.
Did that already happen?
Will happen next week.
Okay, good. Because I would be very interested in joining that as well.
Please.
Because I'm
It's in Italian, but it's very, very easy. It's if general information about cybersecurity in a hospital, there's a focus on cybersecurity in the clinic, and another one on cybersecurity in the research projects, data sharing, and other things, and then a roundtable. That's it.
Yeah.
Very, very simple.
Okay, that's great. We had, so cybersecurity is one of our content priorities. It was covered in a special track in Paris this year, it will be covered in Copenhagen. So the input from what you identify as the topics that are needed to cover is always welcome. Especially, well, I guess the question is, do we need to go, is it already time to go beyond the basics? Or are we not there yet? And do we still need to just,
Well,
repeat the
I
basic rules or such?
Our experience is strange, but actually, we made, for example, 2 years ago, an introductory course on artificial intelligence in medicine. Introduction, simple information, 14 modules, 20 minutes, very simple, addressing definitions, applications, implementation, ethics, and so on. In 2 years, we had 150,000 attendees. It was a free course. But actually, starting from the very beginning is extremely important because otherwise people remain not familiar with the basic concepts. And if you push the right things at the very beginning, things will be going on and keep on running. That's our feeling. I'm not sure that this will work also in cybersecurity, but more or less, I think it's the same. And knowing the level of knowledge of healthcare people, I believe this is absolutely necessary because they don't even imagine what can happen when there's a leakage to data, to sensitive data like healthcare. What happens when you have a problem with data in children, for example, which is our case, and what are the potential consequences and other things. They don't even imagine what happens. So making simple initiatives might be extremely important, I think.
Maybe making a presentation that only focuses on the consequences of data leaks.
Well, this is
or if you know what happens if data is not protected.
this is a show. There are so many cases and stories to tell. Actually, it's something that it's scary. But you need to have this kind of strategies when you start learning and other things. Good. Other comments before you all leave? So we don't want you to stay until 7 p.m. So if you're happy with that, thank you so much, because actually it was not obvious that you participated in such a strange meeting. That was very open, but in my opinion, also very fruitful as an investment for the other activities. And personal relationships are always very important to work together. So I hope that also people connected online will be the opportunity to stay with us at the soonest. And thank you again, and see you as soon as possible.